If we believe that we can achieve, let's work as a team and live up the dream. I see the spark in your eyes, don't give up the fight. Chase your ambition and do what's right. Rep for Nigeria, Nigeria. Rep for Nigeria, Nigeria. Rep for Nigeria, Nigeria. Rep for Nigeria, Nigeria.
Yo, we just celebrating.
Be on our feet as we welcome our guest speaker. I started by speaking so many times. I've been blessed every single one of them. And then, sorry, just stop laughing now. Yeah, I would like to quickly say this. He went to speak to an event my mom was at, and my mom called me immediately and said, she met Fela Durotoye. So he's been a blessing to me and my family, and I would like for us to give him a round of applause one more time.
Good evening, everyone. I wish you would please extend my greetings and my regards to someone right next to you. And please just find a way to make them feel like, you know, the special person that they are. For you to believe in, you think I don't even know you. And you know, some of you may even feel like a number, right? You're just a number. You know, fella, you don't know me. You don't even know my registration number. So don't even tell me about anything. You know, that's how these speakers come and then they hold microphone and they try to convince other people that, you know, so they say, feel special. Why should I already am special, I don't have to feel special. But this is the big idea. Listen to this. Many times I know that we struggle with the power of what we call insignificance. This is what 1 in 7.2 billion can feel. You know, when one person feels like I'm just 1 in 7.2 billion people. How can I be important? I mean, I'm one in a crowd of, what, 60, 70, maybe 80 people here today? I don't know how many people. But I'm one in this crowd. How can I be important? How can you try to tell me that I'm special? You don't even have a clue who I am. Well, I may not know the details about you, but I know the facts. All right? And one of the facts that I know about you, if I am correct, is that there are 3 things about you that not one single person on this face of this earth has. Correct me if I'm right. I presume that science has proven that you have a unique fingerprint. True or false? I believe that science has proven that you have a unique iris. True or false? I even believe that science has proven that you have a unique DNA. True or false? Technically speaking, I believe that there is only one of your particular kind. True or false? Now, when you have 1 out of a million, usually that is called special, isn't it? Yeah. What about 1 in 1,000 million? That is a billion. How about that? What do you say? If one in a million, which is what people say, how many people have ever been told by a guy, a girl, or somebody that you are 1 in a million? Anybody ever said that? I'm sorry to announce to you, I know you felt great, I know you, in fact, I know you smiled and said, oh, but they lied to you. You are not 1 in a million, you are 1 in 7,000 million. That's what 7 billion is. And I need you to understand that if you go feel special in being 1 in a million, think of how you should feel when you're 1 in 7 billion. Because your fingerprint is unique, you're supposed to be able to do stuff that no one else can do. Because your iris is unique, you're supposed to have a unique perspective to everything in life, particularly what you were created to do. Because your DNA is unique, your destiny is completely different from everybody else, and so is your destiny path. The greatness that you carry, nobody else can fake for you. Anybody else can try to be like you. You can even try to be like anybody else. But I want you to understand that your path is so unique, your contribution is so unique, that if they took your piece out of this jigsaw, it could never be complete. This is the big idea. That I know about you. I may not know your name. Your name doesn't matter to me as much as what you came to do here. People change names and nothing changes. I've seen people who would change their name from Farotimi to Durotoye, and there's nothing that changes. And I've seen people change their name from their maiden name to their surname, and they're still doing the same great things. My wife was Tara Sani, and at that time she was celebrated. Now she's Tara Fela, and her life hasn't changed. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. So it's not your name that makes you, it's you that makes your name. When I ask you to tell me a name, for instance, in golf, whose name comes to you? When I tell you to tell me a name that comes to you, when I say female tennis, whose name comes to you? When I tell you to tell me a name, what comes to you when I say talk shows? Oprah Winfrey. Okay, when I say stocks and investments, whose name comes to you? Warren Buffett. When I say IT, well, whose name comes to you? Okay, now, this is the point that I make to you. Hold on. Do you know any of the names that I have called to you? You know the people personally? Okay, so if you don't know them personally, that means that there's a chance that they should be able to call your name even when they never met you. You understand? So the question is, what must I be able to say and call that will cause Bill Gates, that will cause Oprah Winfrey, that will cause Tiger Woods to know and mention your name, even though they've never met you before? This is the unique piece of the puzzle that you were meant to fit in. You were not only meant to fit in, you were meant to fill the gap. Without you, that gap exists. That gap will be nothing, and no one else can ever fill the space that you were meant to create. So, ladies and gentlemen, having said all of these things, I presume you come to the same level of understanding that I have, that you are the one that I get to see. That you are special enough, your destiny is special enough, your perspective is special enough, the works of your hands are so special that this nation called Nigeria, this world, probably even the United States, and I think, in my right, the University of Leeds will never be the same just because you showed up. To that extent, I would like you to please find someone who, just like you, is as special. He's not one in a million. No. This is 1 in 7 billion people who you believe is so special, and then please find a way to help me express to them just how special they are. Don't do anything that will get you a slap tonight. But please just help me find a way to express to that person that you are so special. So special. Difference is what the rotten apple is and you're not just different. You are special. Tell them you're not just different, you're special. You're special. Thank you. I just love you so much already. She says, I know. Good evening, University of Leeds. Good evening, Nigerian students. Good evening, the United Kingdom. Can I hear someone just say good evening? I mean, I don't know whether you heard, well, you saw me shaking my head when I was told that you should applaud me when I was coming in. Because I think that we have to not, and no longer, we must take a stand not to in any way reward mediocrity. I think that if anybody, regardless of who they are, regardless of what level of status they carry, if anybody comes late for any meeting, I believe very strongly they should never be applauded. I believe so strongly. I believe that life is time and time is life. I believe that this thing that is called a lifetime is perhaps the most descriptive word of its sense, of its own self. If you waste my time, you're killing me. You're a murderer. If I waste my time, I'm killing myself. I'm a suicide. And so, basically, I do not respect people who do not respect my time. It's a very tough call for me to ever be. And a few times I've had to be at the mercy of situations where, unfortunately, there was nothing I knew how to do to be able to get to where I wanted to get at some time. I've been known to kneel down in front of people. They're not stage performances. The people who know me very well understand. And so I hate to ever start my discussion with an apology as to why I'm late. And you try me And I believe I have sorted this matter out once and for all. Try me tomorrow and see whether you will get here before me. It's probably going to be possible. That has always been my style. I would love to always be the one to welcome the first participant where I can, so that I can become a reward for them. I want to be the reward for them coming early. I want to be able to spend personal time, even if there are only 5 people here. That's the way that's my lifestyle. That it's based on my values. And today, those values I have misrepresented in a way, whatever the reason is. But I do say to you, I apologize, because your time is special, because you're special. And I apologize because I would never intend to commit murder, at least not in, especially not in the United Kingdom. And I definitely didn't come here to commit suicide. So would you please forgive me for coming? Huh? Okay. I see some people are still thinking, should I? And listen to me, listen, you're already here, I'm already here. The challenge is, if you do not forgive me, you will not be able to receive from me. So it is actually in your best interest to please do. It's in my best interest to make sure I live up to the words that I speak today, especially as you come to your mouth. Do you forgive me? Okay, if I want to see people forgive me, just give me a seat. What's the time you just I can see you, whether you do that, you know, I can see you, so why are you mourning? You know, like, I said I'm sorry. Okay, in that case, I wish I could hug everybody, but I can't, so can I do the help to you guys? All right, good evening, everyone. Oh, come on, good evening, everybody. I recognize that we do have limited time, and there's so much for us to cover. Therefore, I understand that I will not be able to, it's a journey. So I will be able to just put some perspective to this journey. What I want to do is also to be able to just listen to what you have to say and be able to make a contribution to your perspective. The only way I can know what your perspective is if I listen to you. And so I'm not going to speak long today, I hope. Okay, I've been known to be quite long-winded. All right. There was a conference that we had at the University of Port Harcourt, and we started that conference at 8 a.m. in the morning, and we concluded that conference at 11:15 at night. Okay, and by the time we finished the conference, there was no walking space. Forget sitting space. There was just nowhere to walk. Every step was filled with 2 people, 3 people packed on one seat, and it was the largest auditorium that was there. So, but that is the record that I have set. I presume tonight we can set a new record. I'm just kidding. All right. I'm glad to be here. I came here because I thought it was important to be here. The 1st of October, as many people know, was a couple of days ago. And the challenge has always been, especially in a nation that is dealing with many levels and dimensions of crisis, what do we have to celebrate? What do we have to celebrate? Why should we celebrate independence? And so a couple of days ago, I have been put on radio to put into perspective what the Independence Day celebrations really should be. And one of the things that I shared with them was that I think that a day like the Independence Day celebrations were both a day for celebration and appreciation, but more also a day for reflection. For me, I think that it is a day to celebrate those who have worked hard and who delivered to us the right for us to determine our own destiny. The first thing I shared with them was that I guess the opposite of the word discipline is what? Okay, fantastic. To me, I think that the opposite of the word independence is dependence. And if you think about the word independence, basically what it means is the right to determine your own destiny. The right to self-govern, the right to self-rule, the right to determine how you will get the things that you want to get done. Independence is not just a sign of freedom, it's a sign of responsibility. And so for me, I think that the most important things that we need to understand is that there were a few people who gathered together in a place like this 69 years ago. Somebody's saying, no, sorry, Fela, you're supposed to say 54 years. No, I said 69 years. 69 years ago, 15th of October 1945, 79 African students, with, also inclusive of the few Jamaican and Caribbean students, just a few of them, gathered together just about an hour away from here in Manchester, at what was to later be known as the 5th Pan-African Conference. These guys basically were Nigerian students. Out of that league, you had people like Obafemi Awolowo. You had people even from Ghana, like Kwame Nkrumah. You had quite a few other people that later became significant movers and shakers. Some of them became presidents in their space. But they gathered together for a reason. And the reason was that backdating time to 60 years before, 27 people had gathered themselves together into another hotel, just a bit down the aisle, that is in Berlin, Germany. And somewhere, these guys were able to put up a map, which later we came to understand was the map of Africa. For many of you who are students of history or political science, you will all remember that that was when the partition of Africa came to work. And basically, what was the most amazing thing about these people, just 27 of them from different countries, including the United Kingdom or Britain, France, Germany, Spain, there were quite a few. But what was most special about these people was that they had the faith, they had the understanding that they carried in themselves something that could cause them to change not only the culture of a continent, not a city, not a country, not a county, but a continent. 27 people gathering together in a place for 3 months between November 1884 and February 1885. And this was not the big idea. The big idea is not just the fact that these guys thought they could do it. I think the big idea was that they then went and did it. And what they did was they came to a place where they were not born. They came to a place where they did not own. But they went to a place called Africa and they started to impose their culture on the people's culture. They started to influence those people. They started to ensure that in a few years it was seen as civilized if in the hot sun, 32 degrees centigrade, you take a cup of tea at 2 p.m. and then you sweat and then take some of that sweat, put it by the side and then take another cup of, and that was supposed to be civilization. And guys started to define who a gentleman was by whether you were able to knot your tie, again, regardless of how hot it was, or whether you are sweating. None of those things mattered. Again, it was the ability to be able to impose a culture that really these guys believed they had. I think in my heart, I say to them, how did they believe that they had the right to influence? And they had the capacity to back it up. But guess what? Story. Once upon a time, those guys did what they decided they were going to do. 27 people came out of the room in February 1885. And by 1915, 30 years later, Africa would already be partitioned. Nigeria was already a British colony. They did exactly what they said they were going to do. Today, the impact of that decision reaches out to 1.1 billion people. Just because one meeting happened. No one knew in 1884 or 85 how important it was. I'm sure people walked past that hotel and nobody knew what was going on in there. Just like there are people who might be walking past this room and this hall somewhere and they don't know what is going to happen in 30 years because of this meeting tonight. They have no clue what is about to hit the world because a few people gathered tonight. Nobody. Okay? But one thing we know was that 30 years later, they had done what it was, and they had started to affect lives. But this was then, fast forward 30 years. 79 people gathered together, like I said, 1 hour away, and said if 27 people could change a continent, 79 people can do that. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Now you have to understand, these 79 people were born into colonial rule. This was the life that they grew up to know. They never knew different. They never saw different. Everything that they knew was what their lives had become. That they were second-class citizens in their own land. They understood that. They understood that. Their parents had accepted it as a norm. It was something that was bestowed onto their generation. It was a gift from their parents. The inability to say no to a few people who had a good idea that they wanted to overrun another community that did not belong to them. But this is the big idea. Listen to this. So these 79 people who were born into a situation and who had no precedent across their continent of anything called independence began to dream of a different ending to their lives than the one that they started their lives with. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. So they believed that, yes, I was born into a nation where I was subservient to the person who came to my nation. But they said to themselves, I will not give this nation to my children because, listen to this, every generation has the right and the mandate to deliver a better nation to the next generation than the one that they inherited from their parents. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. So it's critical for you to understand that when these guys gathered together, there was a cause. They didn't gather together just because they wanted to listen to a man. They gathered together because they aligned with a cause. They believed in something, and it was what they believed that brought them together. It wasn't just because they were Nigerians. There were other Nigerians that were not in that room, and there were other Nigerian students that were not there. But these guys believed very strongly that they had something that they had to do. They believed they had a mandate, they believed they had a purpose, they believed that time and space had put onto them a responsibility to bring about a particular change, and for that reason, they believed that was why they came to life. That they were alive for such a time as this, for the reason why they were together. Listen to me. So I'm asking you, why are we here? Because if you came here just to listen to a speaker, then I think we may have missed the point. You may not know why I came. But I came here because I came to connect with a people who have been given the privilege to become, possibly, amongst the best of the next generation. And if we can get the next generation to present their best and offer themselves to be able to bring about change to their land, then we have gotten the greatest gift of all. A few weeks ago, I was traveling to the United States, and when I flew in through Heathrow, connected to Gatwick, because I was going to Orlando, Florida. And when I got to Orlando, as I was about to board the plane, the people at the gate, or the lady at the gate, when she saw my green passport, instantly made a signal to someone over there and said, please do a secondary check. Now, it wasn't only me that she had done it to. There were 3 other people who were also on a separate line because they were Nigerian. Now, I do have, by the nature of my work, I do have to travel quite often. I wasn't going to Disneyland. I was going to speak in Tampa, Florida. I was doing a speaking tour of in the United States. So this was, if you look at my passport, you will see that I'm a very frequent flyer. I've been to Manchester Airport at least 4 times in the last 2 months. Okay? So now you see this person who's also flying in a very privileged class. And you take his passport, and the lady started doing something. She was putting her hand over my American visa and just doing this. And then when she was done, she said to me, "Thank you, sir. You can proceed." So I stopped and I said, I didn't receive the passport from her. So I said to her, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "When you opened that passport, did you realize that this was a frequent flyer?" She said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Did you see the number of times that I have flown to the United States?" She said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Yet you were still checking with your finger, not with an instrument, with your finger, my visa." She said, "Sir, I do not, and in no way do I mean to embarrass you, but we have been told to check." And I said, "Well, so what have you found?" She said, "No, sir, your visa is authentic. The only challenge, sir, is that you don't know how many fake visas we find from people who look very well like